Thank you very much, Senator Kaye. Next is Senator Johnson, who will be followed by Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congressman, welcome.
Senator.
Are you aware of the World Climate Declaration? There is no climate emergency. It's signed by now over 1,800 global scientists, professionals.
There is no climate emergency? It was.
Are you aware of that declaration?
I'm not aware of that one. I assume I'm aware of familiar.
I entered in the record. I'd recommend you read it. I thought one of the...
Without objection, it will be entered into the record.
Well, I already did it, but we'll enter into this one too. I thought one of the interesting statements in there is the obvious that CO2 is plant food. If you want a green planet, you need some CO2. But anyway, you ought to take a look at that. You know, by the way, I'm not a climate change denier. I'm just not a climate change alarmist like you and the chairman. I would call myself a climate change realist. In your testimony, you say, my watery home state of Maryland with more than 7,100 miles of coastline is strikingly vulnerable to the effects of climate change and the rising sea level. So that's one of the biggest alarms of the climate change, folks, is that the sea level will rise and just wipe out coastlines, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So are you aware of how much the sea level has risen in the Bay of San Francisco since the last glaciation period of, some 12 to 20,000 years ago, which is just a blink of the eye in geologic time. Do you know how much the sea level has risen in the Bay of San Francisco in that time period?
I do not know that one.
You want to just take a guess?
No, because I'm not guessing very well today, so no.
It's 390 feet. Do you think there's anything mankind could have done to prevent that level sea level rise of 390 feet, just again, 20,000 years?
Well,
you think there's something we could do about that?
No.
Okay, good. That's the answer. No, there's nothing we could do about that. And by the way, the chairman mentioned witnesses brought before this committee have. Let me tell you what some of them have said. Majority witnesses. When I asked a majority witness, about 80% of world power in the U.S. globally is created by fossil fuel. I asked, do you believe that either India or China are going to give up their coal-burning plants? And the majority witness said no, and neither are we, because we simply can't. So I'm kind of getting back to Senator Kennedy's point, is there's nothing we can do about this other than adapt. Another witness claimed that we've spent about $5 trillion. This is before the Inflation Reduction Act, which, by the way, isn't $400 billion worth of tax credit. Goldman Sachs was about $1.2 trillion. So that's about $6 trillion we've already spent combating climate change. The question I have for you, has all that spending done anything to impact climate change? $5 to $6 trillion already spent?
But undoubtedly it has.
Where's the proof?
Well,
I mean, you're here before the committee again. We've had 16, 17 hearings now. Again, climate change alarmism. We're going to destroy our planet. It's not going to keep lasting. Got to do something now. We've been doing $6 trillion worth. I haven't heard any reduction in the alarmism here whatsoever.
Well, you describe yourself, I think, as a climate realist. But it sounds to me more like you're a climate fatalist, that there's really nothing that can be done. The focus of the hearing today, of course, is on the big oil industry's attempts to obscure the problem for many decades and then to undermine any potential solutions.
Are you aware of the Vostok ice core samples?
I'm sorry?
The Vostok ice core samples. Okay, this is the most famous analysis over 440,000 years. Shows five very distinct cycles. Do you know what the temperature variation of those cycles was?
The seasonally, you mean, or you mean over time?
No, over geologic time, 440,000 years.
Oh, well, there's been ice ages, and I'm sure it's dramatic.
Again, do you know what the temperature variation revealed in those things is?
Please share.
22.7 degrees Fahrenheit. And oh, by the way, and they didn't really talk about this, but CO2 ended up being a lagging indicator to temperature, which would imply that as the globe warms, all the CO2, most of it's locked up in the ocean, gets unlocked, and so it's temperature that causes CO2 to rise as opposed to the exact opposite. Again, it's one of the orbital forcing. There's all kinds of other theories about this. What I'm saying is it's not settled science. So why are we projecting spending trillions of dollars to impact something that we really, in the end, can't change? That's my point.
Yeah, but I think the claim that the science is uncertain is itself a lagging indicator. I mean, we heard that for decades from big oil, that we just couldn't know that there's a study on this side, there's a study on that side. I think the overwhelming weight of scientific evidence.
Yeah, no, I realize that.
The overwhelming weight of scientific evidence is on the conclusion that man-made causes are behind climate change.
Check out these 800 scientists led by 2 Nobel Prize winners in physics. Check out their World Climate Declaration. There is no climate emergency.
I will definitely check that out, and I'll get back to you on it. I mean, again, and this is difficult for those of us who are not scientists, because all that we can do, or at least all we can reasonably do, is depend on the scientific authorities that are part of our government and that are part of the United Nations and that are rendering the conclusions that we can count on. But I'm very happy to read any kind of dissenting views. I really am.